You got to give me a countdown.
3, 2, 1.
What is up, Drama Alert Nation?
What's up, everybody? How's it going? We're streaming. Oh, I'm so dumb. I don't know why I thought that was so funny. But, it was. It was. But, it was. Let's make our announcement. Oh, man. Woo! Okay, I'm a little, zooted after that one. That was so good. Oh. Okay. We made our announcement. Let's get going, everybody. Hey, VVAX, what's up? Ruark, we got two in here. VVAX3794 says, hey. Ruark says, Ledchamp is alive. How's it going, everybody? I don't know if you missed the very beginning of the stream, but it was fantastic. You should really, yeah, check it out. Thank you so much for tuning in, Ruark, VVAX. VVAX3794, just going to play some rounds of Overwatch 2, then to work on my game. Ooh! That's awesome. I love some game dev. Sorry I'm laughing so hard. I'm not laughing at you guys. I'm just... The beginning of the stream was a lot of fun. Lander XD says, what happened? Oh, man. You'll have to wait for the VOD. I don't know. It may just be the dumbest joke in existence, but I thought it was funny. Oh man, we're gonna be working on our C++ GUI today. Ruark says, I clicked so quick. How did I miss it? I love dumb jokes. I love that it's gonna be built up to this big thing. Oh, it's so funny. I'm such a bad person. No, it's just, at the beginning of the stream, the very intro, you know, when normally I say, hey guys, am I live? What's going on? Can you hear me? I did a different intro, is all I'll say. You'll have to hear it to believe it. Oh, man. It'll be hilarious, even more hilarious, if it's not in the stream. Like, if it's not in the VOD, if for some reason the audio didn't work. And I just laugh about nothing. Oh, that'd be so good. It'd be so good. It should be in the VOD. Lander XD says, I'll probably forget to watch the VOD and then rewatch it 2 months later. In 2 months, you're gonna have a straight up giggle. Okay? I promise. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm so frazzled. Oh yeah. Okay. First things first. First thing on the agenda. We need to license this bad boy. Because it's not licensed, so technically this is not open source. It's just publicly available code. So we're going to officially make it open source. Lander XD says, imagine programming. I spent the whole day playing Counter-Strike Source. Now that's a legend right there. If you're still playing CSS in 2022, and it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with JavaScript, you're doing great. Or HTML, I should say. Okay, yeah, step 1. If you didn't know, there's this website, the MIT license. It's just mit-license.org, and it's just the MIT license. So if you want a link to it, or you need a copy of it, you can just go there. And then you just put your name here. It really doesn't matter if you put anything there, but unless you really want this to be attributed to you. So that's all you gotta do. Now it's licensed. We did it. We're lawyers. We're like Jack Kelly. We're lawyers. Lando XD says, not even CSGO. What? Lander XD, there's literally just a website for the MIT license. Yeah, it's amazing. Rorik says, Source is so cool, gives me a lot of nostalgia. I should download it again. We should all download it again. And then, I didn't play Source that much. I grew up after Source came out. I played CSGO, because that came out when I was a child. But, Lander XT says, next stream? Lamau. I could probably download it in the background. If the, my internet wouldn't kill me, but they would. I'm pretty sure we just had build. We can clean first if we really want to. We probably shouldn't. And then we'll just probably have something like build/C note. Does it build? It do build. There's no work to do. Okay, well, all we have to do is commit our new license. I'm forgetting what I'm doing. I'm frazzled. Okay. Yeah, remove those. Add license. Yeah, this should be fine. I'm gonna remove the readme.org, just in case there's merge conflicts. Faucet, baby. I think that's pretty good. Faucet, baby. Free and open source it. I'm pretty sure that's all we need. Yeah, let's do it. We're gonna push it. We're gonna be that guy. Now that it's open source, guess what we can do? We can accept a PR. So let's do. Yeah. If you didn't know, Siraide, our wonderful guest, our wonderful watcher, our wonderful creep, has done a lot of stuff. And talked about all of it. CLion, IDE, config-dir, cool. We set the CMake standard and the runtime output directory, because this is the only way I could figure out where Visual Studio is putting the exe. Good with me. Lander XD says, Siraide just maintains your projects for you. Shh. They'll catch on. Shh. No, I'm kidding. I thank Siraide for everything they do tremendously. It's like, I mentioned something and they're like, oh yeah, I can get that done. I can get that done. It's amazing. But it is really nice. I didn't have to write the build system at all. It's beautiful. Not that CMake is hard to write, but all the Git submodule stuff in CMake is a little rough. Lander XD says, who needs a build system, right? GCC was complaining about this already being defined. Okay, so that's probably machine dependent. That's good to put an if and def behind it. Namespace aliases are perfectly fine. These two here are especially common. So FS stands for file system. Ranges means ranges. Why do we use ranges? Lander XT says 2,000 character GCC commands for the win. It's not bad. They do work. It's I mean, as funky as it is, they do work. Git is just bad at formatting diffs, Lamau. It's true. This is Siraide calling me a bad man. He's like, you were opening files and not closing them, you're insane. Which, it's arguable that that's a bad thing to do. But, you know, it's unarguable that that's a bad thing to do. But I don't think it mattered. Lander XD says arguable. Rourke says, huh, it's fine. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Your life doesn't end. It's just the OS has to maintain a bunch of open files for you. So if you close them, it's better. It's not really a big deal. I mean, it is if every user space process did it, which is why they make it a big deal. But it's really not a big deal. Ruark says the same with memory. The OS will clean it up for you. I mean, you're not wrong. Just make it so that you have a timer, and every 5 minutes, the process just restarts itself. Easy. Done. No memory leaks. Lender XT says, guys, did you know it's mostly cloudy? It's also cold. Or at least getting cold. Ruark says Xbox 360 solution right there. That's right, that's Morrowind, right? They literally just restarted the 360 during and put up like a loading screen to pretend everything was fine. Lander XT says it's also mostly cloudy for me. Whoa, the world is mostly cloudy. So he's saying file error handling. Ignore them and watch the program seg fault, raise an exception, add a return value to all of these functions, and check it wherever they're called, report an error, and terminate. If we're doing this, we might as well raise an exception instead. It looks like our only option is raise an exception. Strings find first of chars. Finds the first occurrence of any one of the characters in chars. Okay, that's nice. Why do we need wa? What? Standard string end pause means that it didn't find anything. I wonder why we're looking for wa. That does confuse me. Oh, in the mode? Why are we set writable equals find first of wa? In file mode? Okay, I don't know what was happening. I thought this was in the files itself that we were searching. I was wrong. Everything's fine. This is basically just a wrapper around format print. One would argue, why do we need it? Just use that. I'm sure it's fine. Ruark says, "Wiwawa." This already checks whether the file is open and readable, so we don't need to do this. Do it in this function. String read. So we read size bytes, okay. Index equals 0. That's fine. We were initializing it after anyway, but it's fine. String view. I'm just kind of going through and reading the comments, making sure everything's good. Pass a string view by value rather than a string. Whether you pass a string by value, const, or r-value ref, it's worse than passing a string view instead. Yeah, because a string view is basically just 2 pointers, right? Vivek says, and I lost badly. Guess I will do code instead then. Wherever you find motivation. Lander XT says, I'm going to go out in about 5 minutes, and I bet by the time I get back, you'll still be reading these comments. You are incorrect. We're just about done. You may be right. We'll see. Ruark says, just go out slowly. Yes. Structs are the same as classes, just with public and private default changed. No need to call the constructor of string explicitly here or anywhere for that matter. Interesting. I'm used to C. There's a lot of type deduction in C++. Speaking of, auto. Which, sure. All of container predicate calls predicate on each element in container. And returns true if and only if predicate returns true for each element in the container. That's why we need ranges. So in the selected tags, if tag data at tag index contains entry index, then it has all tag. Okay. Crazy. So if all of tag selected matches the entry index, then this bool will be true. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what we were doing before. Nice. Thank you. Lander XT says, I'm meeting someone. Nice. That sounds fun. Vivak says, Rust is even nicer. It's not. I think structs and classes have a deeper meaning. Structs are for data only things, and classes once you add a method or any other weird feature. Well, they don't have a deeper meaning, because structs can have member functions. For example, strings, right? It's a string struct, I would presume. Like if I were going to write a data structure, even if it had functions, oh god, the cat. Even if it had functions on it, I would probably still say, it's a data structure, so it's a struct. I think the idea of the the class keyword is just dumb. It should be C with permissions, and you just explicitly have to say instructs whether something's public or private by putting the public-private tags. Hey, look, Rainbow Emacs. Any of is like all of, except that it returns true with any one of them. Okay. Coolness. I hope that it has, like when it returns true on one of them, it stops. It doesn't keep checking all of them. Vivak says, oh my god, that's where struct comes from. Today I learned. Yeah, structure. Data structure. Ruark says, making a compiler doesn't fix your burnout problem. Trust, I speak from experience. Oh, I know. Ruark said earlier, yes, the deeper is imaginary. Oh, Ruark was speaking in response to Vivak. Speaking of which, I'm getting a bit burned out working on this game for a few weeks now. Maybe I should make a compiler. Vivak says, one more tired from looking at the same code all day, and working on something different is nice. What I recommend is doing what I did. Just start a new small side project that you know you can finish. Because a game is very large. You're going to have to come back to it a lot. So like I started the C++ GUI because I was losing steam on the compiler. But I'll go back to the compiler and keep working on it. Vivek says, well, I can't finish anything. Then just finish something. Make like literally just something that prints out hello world. Then you finished it and just keep that on your drive. And keep your own hello world that you wrote on your drive and go, okay, I finished that. That's something I did. I can write a hello world. And then build up from there. Because I'm sure you're more competent than you think. Just like everybody. Oh man. The cat. What's okay? I closed my door. Then I got a drink, and I did not close my door. Ruark says, and then side project the side project. Yes. Keep tangenting away. Ruark says, yeah, I ain't finishing anything either, but it's fine. I'm taking a break right now. That's really healthy, Ruark. That's a good choice. Also, Landor is probably right. He's going to come back and we're reading comments. We did constexpr for our format strings, so that's fun. Null putter. I don't think I have to explain this one. No, you do not. Null is a C thing. Null putter is C++. I just have been writing C. Set font is virtual, and calling virtual functions in a constructor is a bad idea. I didn't know that. Instead of performing an actual virtual call, we perform a direct call instead by explicitly qualifying the function. Even if this ends up being a subclass of frame, it will still call the set function of frame. Because we may accidentally call, if we subclass, he's saying if we subclass the frame that we wrote, then if we called set font, we may be calling a different set font based on where it is. So explicitly saying we want the wxWidgets frame set font is safer, I guess. We know what code we're calling. Vivak says, I'm actually being allowed to work on the game as a school project, so it might be nice to do something else at home. Nice. That's right. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff other than coding. I keep myself busy. You gotta spend time doing something, right? Ruark says, it's a never-ending cycle. I burn out from programming, then I take a break, come back, and burn out again. I'd say I mainly am just still in my I haven't taken a break yet. Ruark says, that's cool. Nice, in response to VVAX being allowed to work on that game. GitHub trying to hide things from me. It's only used here, you can just inline this. Yep. I just did it because I wasn't sure of what the syntax was. I wanted to keep it out so I could look at it. Make all of these static const expr, not just const expr. Just const expr is practically worthless. Good to know. And put them in one place. The string view literal creates a standard string view. Well, hopefully this works on my machine. The allocation of this buffer is now handled by the file class. We use a standard string view for parsing because you can actually resize a string view. Okay. Use substring. It just creates a new string view. Okay. So we just create a new string view here. Instead of doing our string manipulation and creation. Vivek says, well, I do have other project lying around I could work on. Absolutely. Anything you want. Or just do something that you've never done before. Learn something new. Ruark says, I have so many things I still want to do. Right now I can't decide between n-body simulation and fractal renderer, or my compiler. Do them all. All in one program. Compile a program and turn the AST into a fractal. Magic. Vivek says, I do have a proof of concept compiler I made in Python. Might rewrite it in Rust and expand it to more features. Yeah, that's definitely a large project. That's another one that I can see not finishing. I guess transpiler is the more correct term. I see. One language to another. Parse the tags. So skip white space, then check if SV is empty. Looks correct. Add the entry data to entry data vector. We use move because it contains a path which is not trivially copyable, okay? And casting to void is one way of doing this, but not naming the parameter is simpler. If it works. Okie doke, we read them. We're gonna look at the code, make sure there's no craziness going on. We have submodules for lib format and wxWidgets. Some code, we have Ccache. We have some fancy formatting, apparently Siraide likes. I don't mind it. I think it's pretty. C note, I like that. $100 bill, baby. We need to use Win32 because it's a GUI program. wxWidgets stuff. That's not necessarily correct anymore because of lib format. Compile options, if not MSVC, target compile options, wall extra pedantic. Target compile options, private /w3. Good enough? There are three. This is perfect, by the way. We came up with this in the Discord. Or Siraide said it, and I was like, that is perfect. There are 3 ways to build this program on Linux and Windows. Run build.sh on Linux or build.bat on Windows. If you don't trust the script, just take a look at it before running it. It's like 10 lines of code. 2. Use CMake, wait for it to do nothing, and pray that it hasn't crashed and it's actually just been downloading submodules for 30 minutes because your internet connection is trash. 3. Run git submodule update init recursive and make dir p out and cd out and cmake .ninja. You can definitely simplify this to just cmake -s dot and -b out. It's not important, but we can simplify that. And ninja -j nproc. See, this should be cmake --build out. We'll get there. I'll do a little reviewsies. I gotta hit add single comment. You can simplify and make this more general in the following way. I'm just gonna write it. I'm not gonna describe. Okay, we're gonna take this, yeet, and this is going to be cmake --build. Instead of cmake ... after making out and everything ourselves, we can just say -s dot, which is the default. We really don't even have to say that. We can just say cmake -b out -g ninja. We really don't even need -g ninja. It's a possibility, but it's not needed. this will definitely build the program. Definitely semantics. Hey. VVAX says it compiles to brainfuck. Oh no. VVAX, your compiler compiles to brainfuck. That's, how does, why? Why? Why do you do such things? If by some evil and unfortunate twist of fate you are using a Mac, or I don't know, follow step 1, I guess. It's basically just Unix anyway. Siraide is glorious. Oh, that's fantastic. Vivek says, because I thought it would be fun. You thought? Vivek says, and it was, some very unique challenges with it. It's definitely true. There's going to be some crazy computer science problems you'd have to solve. You're basically Alan Turing at that point. You just have an infinite strip of bits. You're like, I just got a magnetic strip with ones and zeros. That's all I got, me. So we can download the submodules, and we just use a tricky, if wxWidgets doesn't exist yet, the README. If they switch to another README format, it's going to kill us. It may be better to create a file here and use that as the marker. It may be better. More semantics. It may be better here to create a file and use that as a marker instead of relying on readme.md wxWidgets. They switch to org mode or RST or boned. Vivak says, I actually implemented different int sizes. That's awesome. Though the produced code is not the most efficient thing in the world. I don't think anything can be that efficient in brainfuck. Download submodules. It's the same thing here. And again, more simplifications can be made there. Submodule format added, submodule wxWidgets. Make sure these are the right ones. Definitely the right ones. Okay. It's looking good. That's lib format. That's wxWidgets. Are we on a branch? We're probably on the most recent release commit. Yeah. Update checksums of 3.2.1 release. So this is the 3.2.1 release. We should probably specify that somewhere in the docs. I guess it doesn't matter because it'll download it and build it anyway. Vivek says that's fair, but it basically went like +1 to cell number 1 is cell at 255, set it to 0 and +1 to cell 2. Nice, yeah, you just coded integer division, or integer overflow. Integer carry. That's what it is, the carry bit. That's really cool. GCC was complaining, yeah. We have to include C-string, which is instead of string.h. I forget that's the new C++ way. Yep, we talked about this. Here's our file. We have an entire wrapper around files so that we can close them when we're done. That's it. All of the file error handling is currently a to-do. We'll get there. Basically just a wrapper around print. It's already checked. We have use fs instead of file system. Move instead of non-moving, because we want to basically store the actual value in that newly owned place. Twitch coming in with the mobile dashboard notification. Way late as usual. Everything here is looking good though. I don't see any crazy code. It's just changing our debug stuff into lib format. Changing this a little bit. So tag dot entries. How did entries become a dot? That is something I'm curious in. And we're just gonna merge it. It's Siraide. I think it's fine. So tag entries is an unordered set. I wonder why we were getting away with using the arrow then. That's interesting. Very interesting. In any case, it's probably a good time. We're just gonna do it. It's happening. We're just gonna rebase and merge. I'm pretty sure the names are fine. Yeah. Now compiles on Windows, remove outdated comment, add W. Yep. Coolness. Rebase and merge, baby. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Alrighty. It happened. The merge is complete. Oh, look at this. Look at this mess. It's growing. Our little baby is growing. Okay. We're going to open up GitHub. Not GitHub. Maggot. We're going to fetch. And we got 9. Only 8. Only 8, luckily. So we just have to now poll. So we can poll with Maggot from origin main. Nope, I pushed. Failed the push. That's a good thing. How do I pull? It's probably Shift F. I always forget. Pull into origin main. That's why you don't have force on by default. It's telling me to press $, because your changes to these files would be overwritten. We're just gonna stash everything I have. Put it away on the shelf. Now pull. And let's look at what changes did we have. Just the to-dos removed from the README and the stupid comments. Yeah, we don't need any of that. We can just pop that stash. We don't really need it. In any case, we now have the new code. It no longer works. Okay. Let's think about what we should do. We have basically a lot of extra stuff. Now, all we need to do is go to CMake lists. So we're probably going to have to configure a new CMake. So we'll just say, use Ninja, please. Create a build file. Well, first we'll just remove the build file. And then we will use CMake to generate something like that. There were no instructions. It was pretty much just that. CMake error, add subdirectory. Execute process, give an unknown argument comment. What? You can't put comment? What do you mean comment? Why does it not like it? I wonder what version. That's 3.22, so it should be fine on Siraide's end. I don't know. We don't have comment. LanderXT says, I'm back sooner than expected. My girlfriend got angry at me for playing CS Source all day and not responding to her texts. Ah. Sorry about that, Lander. If that's a real story. I hate when people expect you, like they feel like they're entitled to a response. Like, silence is valid. LanderXT says, having a girlfriend is overrated. You are correct. It's a lot of work. A lot of work. Marcelina says, hello, hello. What's up, Marcelina? Thank you for tuning in. How's it going? Okay. Here we go. So it looks like we are now downloading submodules because we haven't done that already. LenderXT says CMake is terrible. LenderXT says things that are non-factual. LenderXT says real developers use buildmake. All right, you're right. See, LenderXT says things that are factual. You had me going in the first half, not gonna lie, not gonna lie. Oh. Ruark says real developers use Premake 5. Honestly, once this program is like more solid and the structure of it is kind of more complete. Vivek says real developers use Rust. Vivek says things that are non-factual. Ruark says Rust is overrated. Ruark says things that are factual. Memory safety overall is overrated. If you're making a long-running program, it's a big deal, sure. But if you're making, like, a toy, it doesn't need to last for 1,000 years, you know? LanderXT says cargo superior to CMake. Oof. Vivek says yes. Ruark says just restart it. Oh lord. So I guess lib format is fairly large. Or CMake crashed. Either way, we will figure it out. One way or another, one way or another. Hey, there it goes. So now we're doing... Okay, wxWidgets was fast. There's now many submodules for wxWidgets. Oh no. So now we just got to download all of these source codes and get ready to build them. How are you guys doing? You want to play Tetris? Vivek says, may I ask why we are using submodules? Why not? This is just a program I want to get working. I'm not worried about, like, making it the best. I'm just going to use this to organize files for, like, the next year. It's not something forever, and it's open source, so if you hate it, change it. No, but submodules do suck. They're not required, and for the first entire 8 hours of programming, we didn't use them. But Siraide went through and made the build process easy. So now we only have to do this once. Hey look, Emacs is getting bored. Lamau. Ruark says... Oh, LanderXT says lib format should be part of the standard library. Ruark says it is. Not entirely, but part of it is in the standard library. CPP standard at least. Red Candy Eater says, hey, how's it going, Red Candy Eater? What's up? Thank you for tuning in. What's going on? What's up with you? Thank you for saying hi. I appreciate you. Your voice sounds majestic. All right, we're doing a lot of compilation checks now. So this is stuff like running configure scripts and ensuring that all of the necessary features are supported by your OS. If you ever compile GCC, you're going to see this for about 30 straight minutes. This kind of output. Looking for blah, found. Looking for blah, not found. Looking for blah, found. Looking for blah, not found. All right, we have now generated the build system. Now we just have to build it. Minimum OS version required at runtime, Windows Server 2003/Windows XP. Lamau. Should wxWidgets be compiled into a single library? Ooh, can we do that? Should be linked as a shared library. Nice, so that should be static linking. That'd be nice if it's just all in one library. I wonder if there's worse performance or better performance because of that. If anybody knows, let me know. All right, use STL says off. I guess we can turn that on if we really want. It doesn't matter. There may be different functionality, so we should probably keep it off. regex built-in, zlib built-in, expat built-in. Nice. We didn't have to do those. Let's try it. Okay, chat. Here we go. Red Candy Eater asks, is this the compiler project? Ruark says, no, it's a different one. Ruark is correct. This is 997. Ooh boy. Hope you like compilation. No, we only have to do this once. Especially with C cache, even if there's an update, it'll be fast. Don't worry about it. This project, Red Candy Eater, if you are wondering, is a file organization project. So, for example, here's a real-world example of me using it. Here it is. No, I'm just kidding. This is a real-world example of me using it. I just commented out the tags in the file. Let's go find it. My computer's so slow because of the compilation, so bear with me. Shouldn't it be cnote.exe? Look at that. Oh my god. It's so slow. Rourke says, alright, guess I'll be back in 3600 seconds. Lol. Red Candy Eater says, lol. So this is cnote. Basically, at the top, we have a list of tags that are found within these files. And these files, you can left-click and open in the automatic opening, whatever your OS launches that file as. So if we, for example, say linguistics, well, both of these files contain the linguistics tag. But if we say tlightly, only testing.txt contains tlightly. And then if we say linguistics and tlightly, you can see only testing. But if we do linguistics and test tag, it's only test. If we did linguistics, it's only test tag. Does that make sense? You can select and deselect tags to narrow your set of files, and your set of files re-narrows your set of tags. So you can see we actually lose the tags that aren't possible anymore. So it's a way to efficiently search a large directory of files. And I have a lot of plans to upgrade it and make it more usable. I know it's really ugly right now, and it's something we're working on. Red Candy Eater says, ah, I see. But yeah, it's called cnote, so you could use it to store a bunch of notes with topics, and you could use it to store like a timeline and say the first age, and then select the first age, and then you have all your events within it as tags, or you could have them as files, or you could have tags within it that say like beginning, middle, end. There's so many options that you could use it for, so many use cases. Anyway, how much time did I eat? Okay, we're 2/3 of the way there, folks. 600 out of 1,000. Red Candy Eater says cnote, co-founded by Catherine Berman and Yulia Tarasova, is a woman-led impact platform on a mission to close the wealth gap through financial ... cnote is also a $100 bill. It's also a program written in C++ that has to do with sorting notes. What do you know? That's really cool, though. I didn't know that it was that foundation. At least it has like a righteous cause. Vivax says financial dots? Oh no. Ruark says C-note. I C-note, I eat it. He didn't say that. I made that joke. He just said C-note with S-E-E. Ruark now says S-E-A note. C-note. I sailed the open sea. Note. Overall, it's not too bad. It's like a 5-minute compilation, would you say? And we're only going to have to do it once. From this point on, it'll just be compiling the one file that we change consistently. Alrighty, this big old compilation, we are getting it done. Ruark says, in case you ever run into trademark problems. It's free and open source. I'm not making money off it. No one cares. I promise we're fine. OBS just gave me a warning. Encoding overloaded. Uh-oh. You might drop some frames. Hopefully it's fine. We're nearly there. We are so nearly there. We're now building, like, wxWidgets itself. We're building XRC, it looks like, whatever that is, in WX. Hey. 960 out of 997, baby. 970. Ooh. GL canvas. That's a big one. OpenGL canvas is apparently the most complicated file in the entire library. Look at that. Look at how long it's taking for this one file. Oh my lord. Or it crashed. Oh no, it didn't crash. Oh no, Emacs got bored once again. Please? Please no crash right at the end. I mean, we'll be able to salvage the compilation because of Ccache. So we're good. Everything that's compiled up to this point, we don't have to do again. Dun dun. Dun dun. Yeah, it may have crashed. This is one file. Is it really taking this long to compile a single file? I'd be impressed. How long is this file? It's got to be like 50,000 lines. Or it's just filled with templates. The suspense is killing me. Please? I got nothing. Vivek says, it is just one long line. Yeah, it's one line, but it's 3 megabytes. Okay, I'm honestly curious. Oh, it did it. I was gonna go look at the file. I'm like, what is happening? We finally did it. That was one big file. Also, compilation finished. Pog? Where? Here. Okay. It's like, uh-oh. wbase32ud gcc.dll was not found. Okay, so the DLLs haven't been installed. These are the old DLLs from our manual install here. So, DLLs. There's got to be a build or something. Somewhere. Distrib. There's no, like, out. So maybe it's in the actual CMake build tree. That would make sense. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Core. That's not right. Okay. Where are the DLLs? Let's play this game, huh? I should use, like, find or something. They're not in these. What is this? Ah, yes. A bunch of object files. So that's intermediate stuff. Oh, here it is. Okay, I went to libs instead of lib. That's my fault. Okay. So we have config. And hey, all the DLLs. So it looks like we're going to need base32d and MSW32. And that should be it, hopefully. We just link to all these statically. So now we just need to put these in the same place as the executable. Hey, look, it works. It works. We did it. So we just built all of wxWidgets, the entire GUI library, and also all of its dependencies, including, oh, also all of libformat, but all of its dependencies, including so much stuff. We had TIFF, we had libpng, libjpeg, libpdf. There's a lot. We just have done a lot. Also, you guys can't see, my bad. We did it. We did it all. Red Candy Eater says, I just found the right way to explain what my goal is and why it makes sense. What's your goal? Why does it make sense? Red Candy Eater. But it works. So now you can select linguistics as a tag, both of them. Test tag, only test.txt, lightly, and we get testing.txt only. Beautiful stuff. It works. It works. I can't even break it if I wanted to. I'm just clicking. Clicking and dragging. It's going good. You gotta act like the worst user. Emacs is freaking out in the background, don't mind. So you can see that when we click on a file, we actually open up the place where it's we can navigate to it in the File Explorer. And I think we can expand upon this even. We can do better. So first of all, let's just do better. Also, thank you, huge shout out to Siraide for doing all this work and making this less terrible. I'm also just going to add a if and def here, because I remember seeing an error of that. And then we could just also say not defined. That's also okay, right? No? Why are you mad? So what if we did this? It's mad at me. Is defined, is this not how you use defined? I'm pretty sure this is how you use defined. Maybe it doesn't work the same in C++. I'm coming from C, so it's my fault. I just wanted to do something nice. Okay, geez. So we have, again, some using namespace, but it's all literals, so that should be fine, because I think we literally have to do that to get the SV literals. Ooh boy, Red Candy Eater says, I made a short kind of essay. Using abstractions was useful to make computers convenient, makes us more productive. Modern operating systems are more complex because we use computers in so many different ways. They're built to be used by humans and have multitasking as a priority. Because computers are so complex, we can't make assumptions, and the way we program has to be portable and more general. The goal of my OS is to run offline code, mostly games, and do assembly programming and general writing. This simple and limited scope allows me to simplify the design and to assume as many things as possible. There are no unknowns, everything is predictable. The code is not portable, but since this is for programmer users, they're supposed to customize the OS and adapt it to their hardware configuration. Ooh. Nice. That's an amazing mission statement you have right there. I really like that. That's good to have like such a clear goal of, such a clear idea of where you're going. Why are you mad? No type named node type in standard uset traits. What? Are you sure? Okay, it was not sure. That was just made up, apparently. Nope, it came back. It just took a while. I don't know what that is. Type name nested, not found. Okay. You can do that. You compiled, so I don't care. We have our app, which just defines on in it, and we override it. We have our frame, which is we have tag list indices. Why is it so mad at me? It's got to be this. Format file.h not found. Ah, I know what it is. We just have to copy our compile commands. So in out, we should have compile commands.json, and we just have to copy that into C note itself. and then reconnect. And it should now understand that we're linking with lib format and not be so picky. Thank you. Okay, so when we construct our frame, loop over all files in the current directory, check for tags at beginning. Yep. So these all become string views. How do you have a string view to a stat? So this is like a view to a string that's in the executable? Craziness. We have the funky brace syntax. I like it. Red Candy Eater says, I feel like business programming is everything I don't like about programming. You may be right. Everybody's different. I see so much auto, it's killing me. Skip white space at beginning. Yep. So if string is entirely white space, continue, because we're in a for. So that'll go to the next file. That skips this file. So instead of saying string is entirely white space, we're just going to say if file has nothing but white space. No, it is not an entry. Skip it. And that can still be one line. I don't care. Again, this is semantics. I'm just understanding the code as Siraide has written it. SV starts with tag marker. So this is our tag marker. So if the string view, we skip the white space, starts with tag marker, then tags are at beginning. And skip past the tag marker. So we remove prefix. Okay. Red Candy Eater says, does your C compiler have syntax uniquities compared to C? Red Candy Eater says, oops, fake word. I've never accidentally used a fake word before. That's very interesting. Does your C compiler have syntax uniquities compared to C? I don't know what that means. So I have a compiler written in C that compiles some language. The syntax of the language is somewhat C-like, but it's not in many ways. There's type annotations using a colon, so this is how you would declare a variable. Then you could assign to it, or you could reassign to it, like this. So it's a little different. But if you do an if, you do say like if A, and then have this style if, right? Red Candy Eater says, okay, that answers my question. Nice. Auto end of tags equals find first of /n. So we find the first new line. And then we remove the suffix of size minus end of tags. So we basically just say, get rid of the entire string view. We only need the point up until the end of the tags. Create a new entry. So we now create a new entry that has tags, parse the tags. So we skip white space, make sure it's not empty. Skip to the next white space after skipping all the white space to get the end of the tag. The beginning of the tag is just the beginning of the string view. The end of the tag is our new string view. So we make a new string view from there to there. And then we remove the prefix. So we eat the tag effectively. Keep track of an entry within tag. So now the tag that we got, we've added it to our tag data, and we make sure to insert the entry as part of this tag. Then we insert the tag as part of this entry. That's looking good. And then we do a bunch of printing. We create layout, create widgets, populate the tag array, create new tag list from tag array, blah, blah, blah. This is for translation. Populate entry list, layout, set size or layout, bind events. Okay. I'm starting to get it. We're going to add some stuff. You ready to actually start coding? To do, this happened 2 days ago, 9 p.m. We've done okay on this so far, so it shouldn't be too hard. Just need to condense blocks of code into library calls. What does that mean? So effectively, we're going to have different main.cpps that use this entry tag building system, this library, to construct this data. And then every GUI platform, every main.cpp can use the GUI platform that it represents to actually work. So that means we wouldn't be stuck with wxWidgets. We could also have an SDL port where we draw our own buttons and stuff like that. Or we could have like a Qt port. Alrighty. So yeah, let's do it. Let's just begin. This for loop kind of has it all. After this for loop, it's all GUI stuff. That's all just creating GUI based on the data that we collected. So what may be smart is to make a structure relating to all of the data that the GUI will collect from the library. Right? I think that makes sense. Red Candy Eater says, I barely read the UEFI stuff. I was finding reasons to procrastinate. I mean, I only read it as I needed it. I did end up reading the whole thing, but I only read it as I needed it. I would look up like, okay, how do I open a file? Oh, how do I talk to this driver? Oh, how do I do this? And then it's like, okay, the bootloader works. I'm good now. So we now can do struct tagged entries. Right? And this is basically going to be what is now all of this stuff. So hear me out. I know I'm saying stuff a lot. We have an app which has a frame. It creates a frame. And the frame is like a window, right? A GUI window. That's a frame. Like this is an Emacs frame here. And this frame currently has tag data, a vector of tags, tag data, and a vector of entries, entry data. That's going to change to being a tagged entries data. Right? And there's going to be a void get data. And this will make, this function will call the library to fill in the data that we need. So I think all of these are going to move up into these tagged entries structure. And then this is going to have, when we build the tag GUI, it's going to take in a const reference to the tagged entries. Or it could just use, it's just going to use the member. Yeah, it'll just use the member. That's fine. So we build the tag GUI, which will create the GUI from the data. And then we're also going to need these. And this will be in tagged entries. Entry data. Tag data. Right? And effectively, we now have broken many things. So when we say tag shown, it's now going to be data.tag shown. It's now going to be data.tag data. So instead of calling it tag data, maybe we just call it tags and call these entries. I'm kind of cool with that. So let's do it. Going to be a little bit of refactorization. Make sure that we don't still have tag data and I didn't rename the wrong one. Yeah, we're good. Okie doke. So at this point, what's going on? So we have tags. What is tags? Tags refers to this array string. So this is going to be renamed to tag strings. So now we have data.tags, tag list, and tag strings. You could even have tag string array. Red Candy Eater says, I usually read the whole thing twice before half of a project. I'm an anxious person. Yeah, I definitely am more of a wing it person. Uh-huh. So why is tag index not okay? Oh, tags. So this would be tag string array. Yep. Why is it still mad? Use of undeclared identifier format. What? Why are you mad again? It does exist, no? Why was it? I'm not sure what's going on. It thinks lib format doesn't exist, apparently. Gotta love... Here. I think I know what's happening. Oh, rip. That's not what I wanted to do. I suck at this. You know, some days just go like that. Are we done now? Can you stop complaining at me, language server? Please? And let me do my job, please? Okay. We should be good. This is still mad for who knows what reason. Red Candy Eater says, how does your kernel deal with time? I might ignore it, but it would be useful for games in some cases. Yeah, you can't ignore time. It would be hard to calculate time in racing games unless I calculate it in terms of game loops. Yeah, just, what do you mean, how do you deal with time? You just keep track of it. You can use the RTC, depending on what hardware you have. You can use a PIT, an RTC. You can use the the ACSI, or whatever it is. AHCI, the AHCI real-time clock. You can use like the HPET. Don't do that, but you can use the HPET. There's a lot of stuff you can do. It's all on OS dev. Okay, so now we have data. That's cool and all. This tagged entries thing. And I would hope that if I now did this, it's going to take a little bit longer to do our builds now. Perfect. It'll tell us, hey. So see how it's telling us it's redefined? So I would like to say only, if not defined, wxMSW, then please do it again. Why is it mad here? Too many errors omitted, stopping now. Lamau. Why is lib format so mad? It just says file not found still. Maybe we're not including it properly. Yeah, Egglet is just freaking out. So tag string array. Store conversion from index into data.tags vector to index into known tags list. Okay. Red Candy Eater says RDTSC returns time in terms of cycle. Yeah, you can also use the TSC. How do you keep track of it in terms of seconds? You could keep track of the CPU clock. What? You use the hardware that keeps track of seconds for you. I'm not sure what to tell you. You use the real-time clock, which tells you what time it is exactly when you query it. You use the PIT to figure out distances of time between each other or set up timers, simple timers. You can use the HPET to like set up multiple events or like callbacks when a certain amount of time is surpassed. There's many ways to keep track of it in terms of seconds. You just have a number that says nanoseconds since boot, right? and then you update it. That's it. You just update this number, right? You just keep doing it. And how to update it depends on what hardware. Red Candy Eater says, okay, I've never heard of those. So the HPET, you got the AHCI clocks. You have the RTC, which is the real-time clock. You have the PIT, which is the programmable interrupt timer or interval timer, depending on who you ask. Lots of options. That's for x86-64, which I assume is what you're doing if you're doing modern UEFI stuff. x86 in general, really. Okay. Yeah, it's still saying redefined. I don't know what to do about that then. I should not have done that, for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of hardware timers that you can use. So data.entries, entry list. Okie doke. We're getting better. Data.tags. Looking pretty good. Or tag list index, tag data index, and tag list indices. Print that. Yeah, we don't need to do that anymore. This was just because we were having many troubles with our event loop. Data.tag selected, data.tag selected. Should have just pressed N and not G, but you know, I'm classy like that. Yep, I already fixed it. Tags selected here. Data.tag selected. We have data.tags. Whoops, hit G again like a true genius. Data.entry shown. Data.tag shown. I guess, truthfully, I don't need to do any of this, but I do want to get it working again. This is definitely a useless refactor as far as it goes, though. I'm aware. Because we're eventually going to have this be all in library functions, which probably aren't acting on something called tagged entries data. Or maybe it is. We will see. Data dot. Lots of data dot. Data.tags. Data.tags. It.entries, data.entries. Whoops. Entries. Data.entries. Data.tags. I think that's good. I think there's only a little bit left now. It was a rough one, but I think we're gonna be good. By the end of it, at least. Okay, what do I have going wrong now? This is what's going wrong. That may be it. A little bit of a refactor. Should be up and running once more. Nearly. One thing. Okie doke. Hopefully everything still works. And if so, we can start to abstract the library calls into its own little thing. Yeah, sure. It worked. Okay, let's make sure it still works. It still works. You can't see. It still works. Can't break it still. We're doing good. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, yes. Oh yeah, but Red Candy Eater, if you're still here, be sure to check out OS Dev, because they have a whole bunch of things that has to do with every portion of OS development that you might want to look at. Okie doke, okie doke. Loop over all files in current directory. Also, I guess what we should do is this. Just as a beginning. Data. Equals get data. That's truthfully it. Something like that. There we go. Make sure that still works. Yes, yes. All right. We are making progress. No match for operator equals found. Oh yeah, because it returns void. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess it doesn't need to do data equals. Get data just will say data equals. That's kind of the point. Hence all of the data changes we had to go through and make. Data.engine. There we go. Perfect. Still works, still works. Okay. So what we'd like to do is start to abstract this. So I think we're going to keep the library non-recursive. It's just going to work on a given directory, and then we'll iterate through it with the directory iterator. But it's not actually going to recurse. That'll be up to the GUI itself to deal with how many subdirectories. Or maybe we'll have a recurse or non-recurse. I don't know. For now, we're going to keep it how it is what I'm saying. We're going to pass in a file. Okay. So we're going to have cnote.h, right? And main.cpp is going to include cnote.h. Is this how this works? I think this is how this works. And then in cnote.h, we're going to say what? We would like to create a... This is where technically all of this stuff should be that has to do with tagging. This stuff. Yoink. Yep. And then hashtag include, oh god, what do we need? So we need string view. We need unordered set. We need the file system thing. Probably needs, what is it? Yeah. That's right. Okay, this is all right. And then these are defined in the header files. We just have to move these here. For the one definition rule, ODR. And this is going to include cnote.h. It's not happy about that for some reason. There we go. Just took it a second. Alrighty. Alrighty then. So, what's the plan? We seem to be going well. I guess the plan is to see if everything still works. It's not going to, and I know why. We did not update the CMake lists. Yep, thank you. And the reason is because we have a new CPP file. Yep, welcome to reconfiguration. It was quick, luckily. And now it says add tag was not declared in this scope, something like that. Okay. Where? Was it here? Is that where it just pointed me to? Awesomeness. Okay. So it's pointing me to, yep, right here. Oh, I should have looked at what it said. I'm a little dismissive. In member function void frame get data, add tag was not declared in this scope. That's true. We have to actually say tag add tag. Or just provide add tag not as a, because it used to be a member function, if I'm remembering correctly. What did it become? So add tag is now not defined. That's the only issue. So we have to take this signature and actually make it possible to use it. So this returns a tag reference, and you add a tag, blah, blah, blah. Okay, coolio. So now in the main, we no longer have to do tag. Add tag is just a function provided by cnote.h. Okay. There it is. And it still works. 11:11. Look at that. Not bad. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to make a little git the commit at this stage. And we're basically just going to say the beginning. What happened to license? What? Wait, what? What did I do? The license is now a compile commands.json. The fuck? Lamau. What just happened? Vvex says, what the fuck? Yeah, CMake. I don't know how this happened. So yeah, but the license is no more. Which is really funny. But here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll do. Oh man. That is a nice license, I must say. Yeah, it's great. We'll use git and we'll actually just discard these changes to the license file. Okay. Is our license back? Our license is back, okay. That was rough. I'm gonna commit this and say fix CMake error. For some reason, comment is not recognized as valid by my CMake installation. 3.22. Okie doke. We then can say add cnote.h and cpp. and then change things to actually use it in main.cpp. Yes. Vivek says, well, oh yeah, I already read that. I'm good at that today. So we're going to push all of these and say, begin to separate lib library from GUI. That's all we did. Simple as that. Push to main. So now we can check out GitHub and hallelujah, it works. Okay, so now what we'd like to do, we call frame get data, but it's possible that all we have to do is say data equals get directory tagged entries. And then we can have an enum, yeah, tagged entries recursion, yes or no. Okay, I think we can do that. So we can create an enum. I don't know how enums work in C++ very well. It's been a while. So we're going to have tagged entries recursion, yes, no. We'll have no be the default of 0. Okay. And then we're going to have get directory tagged entries. So this is going to be a tagged entries. I don't know if this is correct. This is how it's going to work for now. Get directory tagged entries. I think that's fine. Again, this could all go in a namespace as well, but I don't think we need to get there just yet. We are good for now. Okay, what are we doing here? So get directory tagged entries from what directory? From dot. I think dot is good. And now we just go to cnote.cpp. We get this thing here, the signature, and then we begin our masterpiece. Yeah. Boom. And then we just have to take in a standard path, right? How about that? And it could be a path reference. We need to do the string view literals thing. Yeah. Why is it not correct? Thinks I'm in C. It's like, wait, something's not right. I smell a funkiness. Okay. I'm just doing this to remove the namespace alias from the header file. Pretty good, pretty good. If anybody has any questions, let me know. We are just working on a little bit of refactoring one direction to another from a GUI program into a library. So we use a file here. So everything has to do with file. We're also going to have to steal. Okay. Oops. Okay, so now we have the file. And it's confused at what data is. So let's do tagged entries data. and then return data. Not too bad. Try to build it, see how much everything breaks. Fantastic. Format has not been declared. Okay, so we need format.h in cnote.cpp. We also need these things. We can probably put like that. Okay. Okay. Oof. Too many arguments to function. That's a good point. I didn't set anything up correctly. So we need to set up that enum. And copy that big bad boy right in there. And then say if recurse equals tagged entries recursion yes. There we go. How about now? How about now? Bliss? I think so. Oh, it did finish. It did work. There's a warning of the same thing saying wxMSW is still a thing. It's still working. Beautiful. It's beginning. It's beginning. So now, in main.cpp, let's think about this. So we now literally just deal with the tagged entries data, and we get it in one call right here. That's pretty sweet. I mean, really, we could even do this. I don't think we need frame get data. We'll do it that way. It's easy to refresh. We can just say get data and we'll refresh all of the data. That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. So at this point, how do we separate it into a separate library? Let's take a look at CMake and figure out how to do that. Add library. Is that what we need? I don't know what we need. I'm pretty sure we need add library, but I'm going to look it up. Because I'm not perfect, and you're not meant to remember everything. Build and link library. CMake. Example. Sure. Add library. This is the example. Okay, add library right here. Why is this so small and terrible? This font is awful. When we add the executable, we then have to link it. Okay, so we add library just with a name. So let's call the library cnote_lib just for now. I don't know what else to call it. And then it says just list the files. And then we're going to have to... I've never seen this format before. Do we really need strings? Everything's a string in CMake. I've never used project sourcedir, but I guess we'll use it as well. So we'll include source just to make sure. And then we can link with cnote_lib as well as lib format and all these other things. So we link with it, we include its headers, and We build it here, add library, should work, right? So we add library, target include directories. So we have to do a target include directories for cnote lib as well. Something like that. And it's just going to be this. I don't think it's really even necessary, but perfect. No such file or directory. Oh, we have to link with lib format in the cnote lib. So yeah, that should be fine up here. I'll copy this. I guess we'll just put it above. Sorry, I'm saying a lot of uhs. Just making a lot of decisions. We'll put it here. Okay. We need lib format. And then we also need oh, that's in the wrong spot. Yeah, we just need lib format. That should be fine. Hey. We did it. We officially did it. We separated it into library. Looking pretty good. I'm just going to do it all. And this is going to be success. And we'll just say separated GUI from data gathering library. Data gathering library, sure. Looks good to me. Hopefully it works. Bushy bushy. I would love to see you guys building this program and seeing if it works on your system. Can you do the 1,000 file compilation? How long will it take on your machine? How long will it take? How long will it take? We never stop going. So we get the tagged entries. Again, it doesn't matter what we pass because we didn't implement it right now. We could simplify it further. In what way? How could we simplify this further? We could move these into functions because all of these truthfully are different functions, like creating a new entry and parsing, right? So we have a file here, a file path at least, and then we create it from that. So we could take in a file path and we could basically alter a tagged entry's data structure and add the given entry and tags, parse tags to it. Which again is effectively just this section in between here. So this would be add file entry. Yeah. And then it's going to have data, probably a const reference to data, and then the actual path itself. So this is going to be void add file entry, and it's going to have two things: a tag entries reference, not const because we need to alter it, but a reference nonetheless. This we'll just call data, and then we have file system path. which we don't want to mess with. We have all this logic in here. And this is now a return instead of a continue. Because when we return from this function, we will get right to the end. There's nothing done extra here. Okay, well, if everything compiles, should be going well. We now have a much simpler way of going about things with a separated library and GUI logic, which is very nice, very nice. And will eventually allow us to have a different GUI system. Also, something I noticed is that programming. Something I noticed is that when you call explorer.exe, you can see it here, you can actually just give it a file, and what would normally happen, here I'll show you, is it wouldn't work very well, right? Because that doesn't actually exist. So if I did like test.txt, that exists. That'll work well. It'll open it in whatever OS, whatever your OS defaults to for that type of file. You're basically launching it. But if you pass in the select command line option to explorer.exe, it actually opens it and selects it. So I figured we could do that in this little fun path. So we have const auto file path is directory entry.file path. So if the file path given is a directory, then use it, otherwise use the parent path. See, that's not always going to be the case. So we may move this into here. Maybe we'll just see, then it couldn't be const. Sure. I don't know. What should we do about this here? Because we want to alter it here where we say /select, but only if it's not a directory, right? If it's a directory, we just want to open up into the directory, but if it's not a directory. Okay, so basically here's what we do. We have if def win32 else, right? And then we have else. And then we have another if defined else. And then we have an end if. Does that make any sense? So we basically have if, else, and then all of this stuff. Oh man. So if win32, do it this way. Otherwise, do it this way. Can't see this going wrong. Basically, we're just going to say if is directory entry.file path, then format string is going to equal something, which probably means it's not static const expression auto. I don't know. I don't know. That's probably true. This is rough. How can I do this better? Basically, we're only going to do the rest of this if we're not on Windows. Does that make any sense? Yeah, we'll still end up with format string. It just won't be like this. I know, it's horrible. Yeah, this is fine. Not ideal, but also not the worst. Else it equals this with /select. Also, I'm sure Siraide is going to come along and show me that this is the stupidest way to do it possible, and that there's a million better ways. But I'll gladly be humiliated for the betterment of the program. So the file path should just equal the file path. But we still need to create the file path. And the file path is just going to be entry.filepath. Whoops. Is that correct? So create a format string. Yeah, we'll do that. Create a format string. If it is a directory, set the format string to just open up into the directory. Otherwise, set it up to select the given file. I guess we should say if not is regular file. Yeah. And then we'll inverse it. If is regular file. Okay. There we go. That's a little better. Hopefully this still works. It's going to be a little confusing. In case you weren't aware what we were changing, cnote.exe, from here we were changing what happens when we actually click on these buttons, on these entries. So now when I click on test.txt, you see this opens with test.txt selected, which is quite awesome. And testing.txt selected. So now you can just navigate to the given files that you have found. Beautiful. Also, let's go to that to-do. At this time, we did it. Okay, accept optional command line argument. A directory file path that is searched. I have new ideas concerning that, so I'm going to move on. Yes, I do want to add a reset button to clear all selected tags, showing all tags and entries. Gonna get there. A refresh button to rebuild the list of entries and tags from the file system. Definitely want to get there. Add if not defined wxWidgets wrapper around definition. See, I wanted to do this, but it wasn't letting me. Defined and not defined. Is it gonna let me do this? I don't think it'll let me. It's mad. Can even do something like that. Extra tokens at end of if and def directive. How do you do it then? I'm pretty sure this is how it works in C. Am I wrong? Yeah, there it is. We did it. We removed the warning. Pog. At this time, we did it. Also skip more than just white space at beginning of file. That would be helpful, so if you need to put it in front of a comment or something, it will work. So let's do it. So when we skip white space, we skip all the white space, but then we would also like to skip past more stuff. So we would like to find first of, I think. I don't know. Let's think about this. So I think we'll do sv equals sv dot. What is substring? So that removes a substring. Not removes, but it basically gets you a buffer from within, a view within the string view. Okay. So we could say if starts with. Yeah. So let's just do this. sv.starts with, and then we just give it anything, right? So if it starts with slash, 2 slashes, that's probably a comment, right? So we would like to say if this, skip to next white space, then begin tag parsing. So for example, if a file starts with a // then we would like to say, okay, skip the white space. Then we want to skip to the next white space and then start looking for tags. We could also just skip past 2 characters. We could do that. C-style comments. Skip C-style comment, okay. I wonder if there's a way to say, if this happens, skip. But either way, we can just say dot, substring. We can probably say remove affix or remove prefix, yeah. Remove 2. And this returns a new string view, I would presume. So we have to say it like this. No? Okay, no, we're good. And then we want to, again, we don't want to skip, yeah, so we've removed these 2. We then want to skip white space and do this whole thing again. Okay. Else, if sv.starts with hash, or sv.starts with %, or sv.starts with semicolon. See, semicolons are going to be a little more tricky. So this is going to be skip C-style comments, skip Python and LaTeX style comments, and finally skip Lisp style comments. Not all of them, but most of them. Lots of styles of comments can be skipped. Then say while sv.starts with that sv.remove prefix 1. And then say at each stage, if it's empty, get out of there. So that should skip all the semicolons at the beginning. Then we want to skip white space again. Yep. This thing. And then here, it's pretty much just going to be this. And this again. We're just going to skip white space and check if it's empty once more. So this should skip Python, LaTeX, Lisp, and C-style comments now. I guess we now have to do some sort of testing to make sure that it works. So let's put in a % sign in front of it, just directly in front of it. And make sure that it still picks it up. It doesn't. Wait, does it? Did it pick up test.txt? It did. It just didn't pick up the other one now. So testing.txt got removed. Which it should work, but it doesn't. So obviously I did something wrong. Okay, so what happens if it doesn't start with any of this stuff? We then say if it starts with tag marker. Okay. So let's just print the string view. Huh. Pretty sure I'm fine. Okay. Whoops. Unhandled unknown exception terminating the application. Lamau. Okay. So how do I print a string view? Is that possible? I don't know. At this point, I'm Hail Marying. Still unhandled unknown exception. Is it by format print? Am I just using it in the wrong way? Or did I screw up something royally? Yeah, it's just by format print for some reason. So if svempty return, if svempty returns, svempty return. Okay. So I am curious why I can't print it. So I'm gonna do something like this just to get around it. We'll see what happens here. I don't know why Egglet is so mad at me. Woo! Going all over the place. I accidentally closed it. Rip. Open up Explorer then. Unhandled unknown. Oh, god damn. Seriously? What went that wrong? Unhandled unknown exception. This is sad if this is the only thing that works. What did I screw up? Is it C standard IO or something? Oh, it's IO stream. That's what I screwed up. Okay. It worked. Didn't print out anything. Okay. Little bit confusing. So, just curious. If I remove all this stuff, does it still work? Right? Can I do that? At what point does it break, right? Now we only have testing.txt. I feel like something else is broken then. Right? It's not this. Whether this... well, no, that's correct. What we just saw was correct. Here's why. Because test.txt has a percentage sign. It doesn't have proper stuff. But if we restarted it, it now has them both. So it works. Everything's fine. Everything works perfectly. Still, yep, still works just fine. Both of the different files. All right. Okay. At what point do we get fucked over? So it was this one, right? So what does skip white space do? sv.find first not of white space. if position does not equal end pause, remove prefix pause. Okay, so if the position doesn't equal the end, then remove that count. So find first not of returns the size. Okay, not of white space. Yes. Ah, I get it now. I do get it now. The hash is going to be a difficult one because we don't need to handle it. We already have a hash at the beginning of the tag marker. Whoops. Hey, I figured it out though. Should be all good now. Uncomment these bad boys. Okay, so what was happening was the hash was being skipped, and then we were getting a colon, and obviously a colon isn't a hash colon. So it wasn't working. But now, look at us. They're back and in action. Yes. And now we need to go make sure that we can put a percentage sign in front. And it still works. We can put a // in front. And it still works. How beautiful is that? I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. Also, you know what I didn't do? I didn't add @notice. Whoops. Nice. This is really cool. Otsego Electric has their own version of the of a text editor, terminal text editor, working in Tmux here with syntax highlighting. Very cool. It's just I'm sure it's a fork of this one, but it's very cool. Or maybe that's a tutorial. Either way, it's sweet. Why'd I type Python and when I right-clicked? But yeah, so there we go. This is going really well. Another thing I'm going to do, also, what was on the to-do? Why was I doing this? Yep, skip more than just white space. At this time, we did it. When navigating to entry in File Explorer, select proper file. We did it. It's one of the first things we did. Add a .tag file that is a very simple key value mapping of file path to tag. Now this is a big one. Yeah, we don't need IO stream. So we have cnote.cpp, just add file entry. And then we have main.cpp, which is like this file selection stuff. Sure. Open file in File Explorer, navigate it with file selected. Windows. Sure. Sure. Whoops. Gotta stage something first. Now we can say abstract adding a files entry to tag entries abstract. We can push both of those to main, and we can continue on. Haha. Okay, so this is a complicated one, but a .tag file. So all we have right now is this tag syntax, which obviously only works in code files or text files. You can't really put this at the beginning of an image and expect everything to be fine. Or a directory, for that matter. So the solution is going to be a .tag file. And this file is going to basically just have the tags for the files that it states. So let's say we have, let's do the source directory. I want to give the source directory some files, right? Some tags. So I want to say code, source, open source, and free, right? So I want to do that. I want to have the source subdirectory have these tags. And that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. So this is gonna be a little rough. After we get the directories tagged entries from all the files themselves, so we're gonna have to do something like this. File system path, which is going to be .tag file, which equals nothing. Is that okay? I think that's okay. We'll probably do something like that for a little more efficiency at compile time. So we're going to say if, just before we check anything, we're going to say if it's a regular file, and if path equals .tag. Sure. We'll check for the file name first. And then we'll say .tag file equals path. I'm not sure if this is going to work well, but it's fine. We could also do path.string or something like that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We may have to do that .string thing to make it copyable, but we'll see. So with this .tag file path, we want to say at the end, if .tag file .empty, so if we are not empty, then what we would like to do is open .tag file. Line by line, read file names, ensure their existence, and parse tags. So this little place where we parse the tags, we may now want to keep this, put this into its own function as well. Let us see. So when we open the file, we can use our custom file thing and do this, which is really nice. All right, so we can open the .tag file, and we can do static const expr size t contents max size, just like above, because I'm sure we'll need it. Unless we don't need it, in which case, yeah, it's only ever done in one place. So we can just replace that with 1024. And that with 1024. Really not a big deal. Okay, so now we have the contents, which I'm pretty sure is a string. Yep, so we have a string, contents. So now for every line in the string, I want to skip white space. Again, I'm going to steal that same thing from above. I know I probably should not do all this copying, but it's happening. And we'll also create a string view, which will help us. Yes. To do best code duplication. Add file entry. Okay. What do we got? What do we got? This is going well. So now while we have a while up above, we're literally copying it because it's doing the same thing. And we're going to skip to the next white space, add the tag found to the set of tags. Nearly there. So this is parsing tags, which we need an entry to add into. So to get the entry, oh boy. All right, so we're gonna have to create an entry at some point for each line within this. So we're gonna need another one of these. Oh Lord. So effectively, equals whatever we get from the tag. So for every line, we're going to want to say, okay, skip the white space on the string view. If string view is empty, return. Is that okay? Return data. Yeah, it's not ideal. It's fine. Yeah, it's definitely not ideal. What we should do is just make sure it's not empty before continuing. I mean, because really what we'd like to do is continue. But I guess this is outside of the for loop. Yeah, so we should be good to just return data. Okay, if it's not empty, then we want to create a new thing, a new entry, and its file path is going to be whatever we parse. So we need to get the find first of white space, right? Pretty sure something like that. Yeah, so when we say skip to the next white space, that's what we want to copy. Okay. So we skip the white space. We now want to say end of entry path. Right? So string view now contains something that is in between white space. And what we would like to do is then use that. Equals. Basically, we have string view and end of entry path as a beginning and end. Why are you mad? Because this is a file system path. Okay, can we create one of those? Even from a string? Can we create a file system path? So we have a file system path A. What can we do to it? That's okay. So can we say it's equal to a string? It looks like that works. And then we can just use what? How do we get a string? There's no C string. There's data. So we want to make a path A. We want to make it from SV and end of entry path. Why are you not liking this? It says, okay, we can't do that. Okay, so what if we say it's equal to a string, which is equal to SV and then it says no standard string to path. No matching constructor for initialization of standard string. Okay, I guess I gotta look up how to create a string. I hate string views. They are stupid. Okay, so what we're gonna have to do is create somehow a path here. And it looks like we can use a string view to do that. So we're gonna have to use string view and then get a new string view from it, which is from 0 to end of entry path. Does that make any sense? This is going to break majorly, I'm pretty sure. Probably at runtime, luckily. I mean, it still works. Magically. I'm not sure how it still works, but it still works. You can see we don't get the directory or anything. But, you know, we're getting there. So we probably have to add this entry to the list of entries, like this. Okay, so now that we do all this stuff, well, sure, we'll leave it. What prefix does this, oh, eat tag from beginning of string view. That's like lexing, okay. So now, hopefully, we get something happening. Again, I closed it like a dummy. So we still don't get the entry or anything. So maybe let's see where we're at. Am I here? I'm trying to use format print. I am trying. I have to run it from a terminal, it seems. I didn't see any output. Yeah, I don't want to pipe it anywhere. So do I see output here? I feel like I should see a lot of terminal output, and there's none, which is suspicion to the max. So what if I do like standard flush? Is that a thing? How do I flush? I could do F flush, I know. Do I have to include it? Nope. Not happening. Okay, which is interesting. That is interesting. So how is this not printing anything out? Or are we just not capturing its output somehow? Like if we do it in Emacs, does it work? Oh, this isn't gonna work because I have to do this. Okay, we're gonna try it. So if we try and run it through Emacs, there we go. Leave it to shells to delete all your fucking output. You know, why would a shell show a standard out of a program that you run? You can see it does say hello. Does it still say hello? Hello? It says hello, hello. So we're getting here. But we only have 2 entries. Uh-huh. So we're getting here. Everything here is happening. So let's print out something. Haha. Let's just print out SV. Can we do that? Is it going to break again? Last time we tried to print out SV, everything shattered into pieces. It worked. Looks like it says tags. Should say source. Ah, .tag file. We're opening the wrong path. That would be one issue. That's why you don't copy and paste. Hey, look, it worked. Oh, uh-oh. We didn't skip the tag marker. Huh. So we got it, but source had hash plus and source also as tags, which is not ideal. So what we'd like to do, right? We'd like to say SV equals, I guess SV.remove suffix, prefix, I guess, of end of entry path. So remove up to there. SV dot. So we'll do a little error handling. And say if it doesn't start with hash plus at this point, you've got an issue, but we're gonna have to skip white space and check empty first. Because if at any point it's empty, then we go, oh, this isn't an actual .tag file. It's not correct. We'll say something about it. We'll say, hey, something's going on. .tag. Expected hash plus expected tag marker, but got end of file. Yeah. And then the would be tag marker. Yeah, expected. Yeah, we'll leave the words and things. Okay. Sure. Sure. So at this point, we can say skip white space. If it's empty, expected a tag marker. And then say if it doesn't start with the tag marker, then say dot tag expected tag marker got something else entirely. Sure. Return data. And then we're going to say if it does start with tag marker, we would like to remove the prefix of the tag marker dot size. And then skip white space, check empty, do the thing. Not bad, not bad. That's much better. And now if I click on it, look at this. Okay, now we just have to make it work with multiple lines. So let's also do the libs directory. Something like this. So do this. This means that we have to skip white space. Blup. Because when we get tags, we only go to the end of the line. Speaking of, we never did that, so we're just doing the whole file. That's not quite right. So this auto end of tags thing is what we need, and it goes just before creating a new entry. We'll do end of line is what we'll say. All right, so we get the end of line, and then we say, if end of line does not equal end pause, remove suffix size minus end of line. So this removes everything after the line. So really what we should do is say something like auto line, right, is like a string view. Which is just going to equal the string view at first. But then we're going to say line.remove suffix. Okay, so now we get our line. So now instead of saying string view, we want to say line. Yeah, because for every line, I think we may even want to do this above the end of entry path. So get line, skip white space at the beginning of the line. If it's empty, get out. Find the end of the entry path by skipping to the next white space. And if there is no next white space, then it's the rest. Sure. We create an entry with that path. We then remove the prefix, so we eat it. We skip white space and say if line empty, expected blah. If line doesn't start with the tag marker, expected blah. Okay. Here's SV again, line. Line. Yeah, I think this makes sense. So line dot remove prefix, skip white space, line. If line dot empty, line, 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 line. Okay. So while skip white space line and So basically skip the white space, then check if line is not empty. Skip to the next white space. Add the tag. Eat the tag. Keep track of entry within tag. Keep track of tag within entry. I think that's fine. Okay, so now from each of these tags, right? We're not each of these tags. For each of these lines, we now need to make a bigger loop, right? We should say while sv dot empty, while it's not empty, then auto line equals sv, and at the end we'll say sv equals basically sv dot remove prefix of line dot size. And then we just move this to here. And we move this stuff with a little bit of a determination. Indent it. Hope everything doesn't break. We're getting there. It's a long link. It makes me feel like there's going to be a complicated error. Hello? Are you still there? Is anybody there? Linking executable. Are you? Are you now? 12:20. Yeah, you made it. Did it just freak out? I don't know why it's freaking out. Yeah, it's not happy about me opening it either. Oh no. What have I done? Oh no. Yeah, so C note is running in the background and just memory leaking gigabytes of memory. Something went wrong. So when I create this line string view, it does create a new string view, right? Yeah, here's what I feel like I should do instead. Line equals sv.substring 0 end of line. We have a string view line, and it's equal to the substring of 0 to end of line. Else, it's equal to just sv.substring 0, the whole thing, so sv.size. I think this makes some sense. Hopefully. We'll see what goes on now. Permission denied, cannot open output file cnote.exe. Permission denied, okay. Just delete it. Okay, it's open. I didn't know it was open. Oh, it is open. Hopefully it doesn't crash OBS. It has 10 gigabytes of memory being used. Remember when I said memory leaks weren't a big deal? Take that back. Oh, whoops, I just launched the same broken C note again. I didn't rebuild. It needs permissions. All right. We can hope this time things will be different. I don't think they are. I'm pretty sure it's just doing the same thing. RIP. That was me ending it in Task Manager. Okay, so we'll figure this out. Why mad? How mad? And if mad. Okay, so when there's a tag file, we open the tag file. Then we say, while SV is not empty, which is just a string view on this content string, then create a line string view. And what this does, we should probably initialize it to nothing. I don't know. It doesn't matter because it gets initialized either way. We could say this no matter, yeah, this is fine. So we have a line, which is a string view. And then possibly what we'll do is say line.remove affix, suffix is what it's called. So we're going to remove this many from the suffix. And then we don't need this else entirely. So just thinking about this, the line is the entire contents that we read. And then we get the end of line, and if it exists, then we say, okay, chop everything off the end that we can. So it would seem that this should work. But for some reason, it's looping infinitely and leaking memory like crazy, like just hundreds of megabytes a second. So it's obviously in this while loop doing something that it should not be doing. Why is it not exiting the while loop? So if we should get to the point where it exits no matter what, right? That's what's confusing me a little bit. So line.size is probably 0 by the time we get to the end of it, because we only stop when the line is empty. So we actually have to keep track of the line's original size, which is actually just end of line up here. Is that what was going? That is what was going wrong. Hey, it's working. It's not quite working, but it's nearly working. So now we should say remove prefix end of line, and it should continue. So let's just do a format print, little printf here. We're going to say line. Yeah, we'll just print out the line. Why not? And we'll put each one separately. We'll figure out what the line is and see if we're getting 2 of them, like we should. See, we just get the 1 line, and then it says no more. So when we get end of line, are we somehow... When file read, move a file, print a file, read a file. We basically just say fread into buffer, bytes, this many of them from this file stream. So read size bytes into buffer. That's exactly what it says. So 1024 bytes are read into contents. Right. And then contents we make a string view on. And then we have a skip white space thing. So with our string view of contents, we then say line equals substring 0 SV size, so the entire 1024 bytes or whatever. Then we say the end of line is the first new line, and if there is one, then remove the suffix from the line, which means remove everything past the new line. Remove everything past and including this new line. Oh boy. Then we go here, skip white space on the line, find the end of the file path entry. So at this point we're here, and then we're finding this part, source. Once we get that, then we say line.remove prefix, end of entry path. So that'll remove that. So now line refers to this. And in that case, we then skip white space, and then say if it doesn't start with the tag marker, expect it and return it. Otherwise, remove prefix tag marker size. So it was here. After skipping white space, it's now here. We skip white space again. We look for the first white space. So we have code. Add the tag. Do the things. And then we have add entry to entry data vector. And remove prefix end of line. So maybe end of line here is going wrong. End of line. So it should be like a number, shouldn't it? Yeah, it's an unsigned int. So it's a number, as we can see here. So it seems like removing end of line as a prefix from the string view would then mean we get a thing. So maybe size isn't proper. Maybe end of line isn't right. So let's figure out what's going on here. I don't know what I'm going to see, honestly. We have source, and libs. Okay. So the first source is from up here when we get the line. And then down here, this prints out the entire thing. So I'd now like to try this and see how it changes. And you can see that we start with source, again, the one from up above. We start with source and libs, and then it converts into just libs, which means it's not empty. We should continue and get to our next line, but we are not getting here for some reason. Because it says, while not sv.empty. So again, let's just say if sv.empty. M to P. What do we got? Oh, it probably opened in the background. So it's not empty at the end. It's not empty, which means we should... Wait, it is empty because we didn't see anything happen. Nah, if it was empty, this would be true, which means this would print. Because nothing printed, no empty here. Or empty. That means it's not empty, which means this should be true. Which means we should go around again. So why aren't we going around again? Going around again. Good old debug. Printf debugging. I couldn't even remember what I was gonna say. So we have going around again, then we have going around again. So we do it twice. Does that mean that we're just getting an empty line somehow? So let's print SV as well. I guess we don't truthfully need line. We only need to do it to get its size. So we have going around again. Source, code open source free libs, which is print sv, which is this. Then we have print line. And then we have going around again. This is sv, but line is nowhere to be found. So let's just make sure that I'm getting this right. We will get it. We will get it. Oh, man. That would be embarrassing. Interesting. I didn't expect that. I was wrong. Hey, I think I fixed it. Yeah, that might have been it. You can see the last time. It's not empty, but there's nothing there. And, oh, I guess it may be working now. I closed it right away. Didn't even try. Ooh, yep, there it was. What do we got? Hey! Now we have libs, which opens libs. We have source, opens source. We have, this is a test, which opens test.txt. Oh, this is POG. This is very POG. So now if you're like, oh, I want to know about linguistics, then you're like, oh, I want to know about politely. And you can find it here. Oh, so cool. This means you can also tag images and anything of that sort. How about that? How about that? Let's make this look better because this thing down here is awful. This stack of buttons. It's kind of driving me crazy. So I'm pretty sure also we finished something in the to-do. Done. Add a to-do. Add a tag file. We did it. Convert entry button sizer from a... That's exactly what we're doing next. That's hilarious. So instead of having a box sizer be our entry list, it is going to be a wrap sizer. I'm pretty sure I looked into this last night. wxWidgets. And if we look at the online manual, which is the same as the offline manual, we can look at the wrap sizer. Look at these. And it basically says, lays out its items in a single line, like a box sizer, as long as there is space. Once all available space in the primary direction has been used, a new line is added and items are added there. That's perfect. That's literally exactly what we want. So what we're going to do is just create one of these. Why is this mad, first of all? Unknown type name. Really? Should be fine. Is it only new? Do I have to include this specifically? Sometimes if it's new, it's like that. No? I guess I should try it without it entirely first. So can I get away with this? Do I still get the same error? No, it says it now does not name a type. So we do need this. So now anywhere we create the entry list, we now have to create a wrap sizer. Horizontally, I'm pretty sure. Which is the default, so we don't have to actually specify anything if we don't want. but we will. And on top of that, it's just a box sizer, which is what we had before. So thanks to inheritance in C++, we should be able to call all the same methods like we did before. Look at that. Beautiful stuff. Also, shout out wxWidgets for just having that. I wonder if there's a flex grid. Oh, there probably is a flex grid sizer, isn't there? There is. Oh, yeah. It'd be a little more complicated, I'm pretty sure. We could try it, but we'd probably have to specify what's going on. It lays out its children in a two-dimensional table with all table fields in one row having the same height and all fields in one column having the same width, which would solve that problem where they all don't line up. They have the jagged edge on the right side. Since 2.50 can also size items equally in one direction but unequally in the other. That's crazy. If the size is only flexible in one direction, it needs to be decided how the sizer should grow in the other non-flexible direction in order to fill the space. Okay, Christ. So let's try this. We'll just replace it literally. Wrap sizer with wx flex grid sizer. And to create it, what do we do? Like, it's construction. Rows, columns, gap. So we'd have to know the amount of rows and columns we need if we wanted to do that. That's our only issue. I'm cool with the wrap sizer for now. I'd say that's a win, with the buttons looking much better on the bottom. Okie doke. Bump. We did it. Okay, this is a more complicated one. Use a choice dropdown to list directories that have been searched for entries, as well as an all selection. Ooh boy. So effectively what this is saying is list all of the directories that have been searched for entries, as well as an all selection. So let's do that may be searched. May have been searched for entries. May be searched, yeah. So basically, if you select all, it'll gather entries and recursively on the current directory. But if you select only one directory, it'll specify that path and only show you stuff from there. This choice then has to drive the directory that is passed to get data, get the data, as well as the recursive option. Okay. Yep, that's a possibility. Add labels with static text or similar. That's probably a good idea. Add menu bar entries for exiting, help section, refresh, etc. That may be a good idea. Add menu bar entries. So, yeah, why not? Take me to the menu bar. Menu bar. Menu bar. That thing. There we go. I found it. What is it? A menu bar is a series of menus accessible from the top of the frame. So, for example, in Emacs, it's non-existent, but it'd go here. So we would have to, and it'd say like file, edit, stuff like that. And to create one of these, what do we do? I'm pretty sure they have it in the example, like the simple example. Nope. Yep. Or, yeah. Yeah. Set menu bar, menu bar. We're literally just going to copy that. And go frame. Right. Okay. So we're going to have append file and help. Sure. Not help yet, but we'll do file. So then how do they change it? They have a menu created like this. Okay. So a menu bar is filled with menus. I get it now. Menu file append ID hello. Okay, I don't want that. Append separator, exit. So in the file menu, yep. Okay. Driving me a little crazy. This is better. Then we just want the exit. How do we then handle this? Bind event menu on hello on exit. Okay. Like that. Let's put this up by the menu bar. And then copy all this and say create menu bar. And it can just be a frame thing. So all we have to say is void create menu bar. Then above frame, void frame create menu bar with that stuff in it. Perfect. I think that's pretty good. It's not called my frame. It is called just frame. And yeah, should be good there. And then this is going to be create GUI, I guess. Yeah, we'll just leave it. All right, here's the grand reveal. A menu bar with one option. No, it's not gonna work. Of course it wouldn't. Alrighty, there we go. There it is. File quit. That's it. That's all I wanted. This is nice. It's not like fancy, but it's okay. And it works. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, very cool. What else do we got? Added a menu bar, but not nearly as featureful as it will be. Okay. So what have we not done? We did a lot today. Look at all this stuff we got done. So we could add a reset to clear all selected tags. Let's do it. So let's create a, basically in the GUI, we want to clear all selected tags somehow. So let's make it a menu bar thing. Why not? So we're going to have file. And in file, here, we're going to need an enum for, what is this going to be? What did they call it? I think they just did an unnamed enum. Yeah. So enum ID underscore, and then this can be anything. So this is going to be reset tag selection. Sure. Nearly. Okay, reset tag selection. How do I give it a an actual string? So we give it an item ID and then a string, right? Yep, and then a wx string at the bottom here I'm reading from, and then a help string, and a bool is checkable, is optional as well. Okay, so this is going to say reset selected tags. Sure. Sure. And then we would like to bind this menu event to frame reset tag selection. And then reset tag selection, we now just have to go implement. So reset tag selection is going to be one of these. We'll call it on, just to match. Here we go. And implementing this, basically just going to say, okay, on reset tag selection, what we would like to do is say, what do we do on tag selection change, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff we do. We can also probably get rid of this try catch. Yeah, we're definitely going to get rid of that. Perfect. We can just not do all this. Okay. So here's our selected tags. So a lot of stuff being printed out. So here's our redisplay, which I think we should have as a custom function. I don't know. So basically build tag GUI and build entry GUI, and then layout will cause... Yeah, I don't think we need that anymore. This is a full redisplay. So we're just going to call redisplay on the frame. Void frame redisplay. Okay, so on reset tag selection, we're going to want to redisplay, but only after... What do we do on tag selection? We'd update entries shown and tags shown based on set intersection. That's a union, actually. And then we redisplay. So this little ditty is needed after we get the data. right? So we basically have to refresh shown is what this is. Okay. So update entries and yeah. We'll basically just take both of these. Well, I also want to keep them here. Yeah, this is good. So I'm going to have refresh shown. Let's go implement that or something like it. Yeah, I think this makes sense. So this is going to be, here, let's make it call two things. This is going to be refresh shown entries and tags. Okay, then we basically just call both of these and implement both of them. Okay, so what I'd like to do is refresh shown tags. That's entries, this is tags. There we go. So there's shown tags. And here's shown entries. Pretty good. It's working. If tag is contained in any one of the shown entries, make tag shown. Sure. Okie doke. So now reset tag selection. All we have to do is say data dot company mode, please. Data dot tag selected. Not sure why it's not helping me out. There we go. It's just text. It's not diabrief. Weird. It's just diabrief. So dot clear is what it should be, right? And then we should say refresh shown. And then we should redisplay. Does that make any sense? I'm thinking that makes some sense. ID reset tag selection. Oh, I put a WX. It's a good sign that that was the error, though. Yep, I did it twice, apparently. I'm a genius. It's a good sign. There we go. Oh. I definitely broke things. Oh boy. I definitely broke things hard. So the entries look correct, but everything after that was broken. Did I refresh shown in the wrong order? I did. We have to do the entries, then the tags. Because the entries drive the tags in this scenario. That's better. Oh, cool. So now, reset. Look at that. That's cool. Blah is shown and selected. I don't think we need that anymore. Hey, King Buns, guten Tag. How's it going, King Buns? What's up? You're like the first chatter in over an hour. So it is great to see you. Have you been following this little side project? How are you doing, King Buns? What are you working on? What's working? Perfect. So now we can go to open source and say, oh, libs is open source. This now opens to libs. And we can say things like images have... Oh, that's cool. King Bun says, oh, that's real. Was at the dog park. I watched the first stream, but just got back to my PC and caught this one. Hey! That's awesome. We've basically just done some like program reshuffling, but everything still works very similarly. But what we have done is all of this, everywhere it says done. Also, we did it. We just did this and succeeded. It's now done. Still need to... Honestly, it's cool that you went to the dog park. I like going to the park. Being in nature helps a lot. Just with the human psyche, I think. Still need to make a better UI/UX for this, though. Okay. Not bad. Hey. King Bun says, wahoo! Oh yeah, my mental health will die if I don't climb mountains or get outside. King Bun says, actually did a trippy sunrise on Saturday. Nice! Had a not able to sleep. Hint, hint. A little bit of mind fuzz. No, I know what you're referencing. That's awesome. I'm really happy for you. That's awesome. Very good. King Bun says, yes, that's it. Totally. It's that. Yeah. Lol. King Bun says, I gotta decide what to work on myself, whether real work or my side project. Nice. Yeah, it's a difficult one, or it can be. So we're just gonna say running command. There's a lot of just format print. We're going through and commenting out now. Okay, perfect. Let's do this. Very cool. So we can add an example.tag file. Oh yeah, so you caught yesterday's stream, you know what's up. We added the ability to have a .tag file, which looks like so, and it can define tags for files in the directory. It kind of breaks if you were to use ones that already define their own tags, so don't do that, but other than that, it's fine. King Bun says the #: syntax is so lovely. I do really like it. It's kind of nice. It makes me want to use it for something like a void function. Instead of having to write like void name, or you could just have it be like #name or #name. I don't know. I just like this hash. I think it's a good thing. A little prefix. King Bun says, ah, yes, waffle function. Falafel. That's right. But yeah, so now we have a .tag file. Awesome, awesome. Okay, I have to meet somebody for lunch. R.I.P. Oh, R.I.P. Okay, we're nearer to the end of the stream than I thought, but we still good. We good, fam. We probably have 30 minutes. We can do a commit the committed then. Also, shout out to Siraide once more, just for being legendary. And, you know, actually having a PR for my first... having a PR for C-Note on the first day that it came into existence. That's pretty legendary. Just shout out Siraide for all this help. Bless. Just want to mention. Someone who helps around here a lot. And King Buns, so do you. You're so awesome, so active everywhere. It's great to have you in chat. Okay, what are we doing? So in main.cpp, we have basically refactoring to allow for it to be called from multiple places. King Bun says, I wish I could help more. I'm still quite new to low level though, haha. I'll have to write something in like Python. Something high level. Like very high level. That's a good idea, actually. Maybe go back and make that suicidal AI in Python and show how slow Python is for AI compared to the C version. Yeah, fuck it. We're just going with all of them now. And we're just going to say... There's a lot of things. The main thing would be, I guess... the .tag file support. You can now tag any file arbitrarily in a separate .tag. I wish this would open in Olivetti mode. That would actually be sweet. You can tag any file arbitrarily in a separate tag file. This even allows for things like pictures, PDFs, directories, device files, and more to be tagged and sorted with C-Note. Hallelujah. Okay. So just gonna, there's something in the git ignore missing I can see, which is compile commands.json. Build artifacts. Generated build folders. And IDE specific client. Visual Studio. And this is going to be star.star.vcxproj and solution. Okay, not bad. Generated build folders. Out. Build. Windows. Win32. Linux. Unix. A Linux. We have test and test. So these you can all use as names for build folders and not have to worry about it being tracked in Git. We have language server nonsense, MS Windows nonsense, build artifacts, executable, and okay. Hey, Siraide, yep, what's up? Also, King Bun says, I learn a lot here though, so I'll stick around. I'm a Clojure Lisper. I enjoy C though. I only use English++, Python, for Selenium automations. English++ being Python is very funny. How's it going, Siraide? It's so good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. We have merged your PR. Update, git ignore. And it was amazing. Siraide says, I've been a bit under the weather, so I'm a bit late. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Siraide. I hope you feel better. I hate being sick. It's the worst. I'll be sure to sniff as loudly as possible, just to make you jealous. That's right. So now we can check out the README, I think, as well. So yeah, we're gonna update this little thing. So this can be cmake-b out. Pretty sure that's it. And then we can just do cmake-build out. Perfect. You cmake, wait for it to do nothing, and pray that it hasn't crashed. I really did think it crashed. This automatically uses cmake and generates a build system. We'll say this uses cmake automatically. Yes. Siraide says, any questions? No. Honestly, everything was really clear. Your comments were amazing. We went through them on stream. And yeah, it was just amazing. We just went through and said, okay, this is what this does. This is why I'm dumb, and I screwed everything up. We did have to do an abomination, I will warn you. There is something you're gonna hate. And it's in... I'm pretty sure it's in main.cpp. Is it? Yeah. Siraide said, oh no. Remember your amazing static const expr format string? Yeah, that doesn't work anymore. It's sometimes a static const expr. On Linux and Apple, it should be fine. Oh god, why? Windows, why? Yeah, so it's because, number one, it's because when you try and open a directory, it opens within the directory. But if you try and open a file, it tries to launch the file. King Bun says, we all know the answers to, oh god, why, Windows, why? So using this command, we're able to select a file, which means that when we run cnote, that we click on, for example, testing.txt, you can see that it now selects testing.txt. Siraide says, well, that's not going to work on Windows now because format string is no longer const expr on Windows. It definitely still works, I promise. It's just not working how you would like it to. I understand. That's why I was saying we committed atrocities. You're going to hate it. Siraide says that's weird. It's not really. It's just a string that we're passing to format. We're on Windows, so it's fine. I don't know. Format shouldn't compile if the format string is not const expr, IIRC. Well, it still works, so yeet, who cares? Dependencies. git cmake at least one cmake generate a C++ compiler. That's kind of all you really need on top of these. So now with cmake a C++ compiler. We'll say G++, MSVC. I guess I'm gonna have to use, since this is org, curlies, MSVC, etc. And then Git. Is there actually just a website for Git? Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Downloads. Perfect. Go download Git. Also, am I telling people to download the wrong thing? No, this is definitely Git. Yeah, Git is a member of the Software Freedom Conservancy about this site. Yeah, we're good. You mentioned MSVC but not Clang? Shame on you. Even Clang, etc. I gotta put the even in there. G++, MSVC, even Clang, etc. It's like, it's a surprise. Like, you can even use Clang. Did you know that? Maybe each of these should be links. I guess we just have to say, like, Visual Studio. Here it is. I mean, we know the MSDN links are gonna break. Mm-hmm. Clang looks like it's from 1990. Okay, and new compiler collection. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, it's not. Should I just point people here? Nah, it's not ideal. Maybe the install page? No, we'll go here. Screw it. We'll just shove you to the install page. Right? Then you can say, oh, what are the prerequisites? Oh, Lord. See, I don't want people to have to build GCC themselves. Where's the downloads? Oh, mirrors. Oh, Christ. Doesn't say anything about the GCC page that looks even older. I would argue they look very similar. But you're right. It looks a little better. Look, there's a Twitter symbol. There's pictures. See, the thing is, to build GCC, you need GCC. True. We'll just have a link of mirrors then. That way you can go download whatever the fuck you want. Or I could just link, honestly, to the main page. Yeah, I'll have people figure it out. Ruark says it's a trick. Ooh. Okay. I officially am running very late, but this is going well. Siraide says, I think this is the first project I've ever seen that provides links to CMake and C++ compilers, lol. It's true, I do it on all my projects. Like even, here, I just have to check. I do it in Light too as well, right? Do I not? Yeah, see CMake, I link to it here. I link to Ninja, because that's what I recommend. It's very good. Also, Ninja looks even older. Ninja arguably looks the oldest. It's literally just HTML. Remember all the crazy stuff that used to be on the right here? Does anybody remember when Ninja used to have all the crazy crap on the right? About, like, politics? No? Just me? But yeah, I do it in all my projects. I'm like, if I use something, it's gonna be linked. Okay, so we have dependencies, bleh. Instructions. Dependencies, sure. And let's look at build.bat. So instead of doing this craziness, I'm pretty sure we can do cmake-v out. And then just build out. That's beautiful. Okay, then dot shush. It's going to be the same thing. Okay. And technically, I think we should probably, like, do submodule marker. I think that makes sense. Siraide says, I don't think I've ever seen the Ninja website before because I run Linux and I just install everything via the package manager. I just leave it as is. I mean, we could, but I wanna change it. I know it means I'm gonna have to rebuild it. The submodule marker file just adds complexity. It doesn't, it removes it because it removes a dependency. We no longer rely. No one's gonna understand what that's for. That's why it's a hidden file. King Bun says, oh beautiful, my company released another fix and I found yet another regression. I feel like our QA is drunk and C# devs are brain dead. Ha! Siraide says, it's easier to check for a file that's supposed to be there, IMO. True, but then that means like if wxWidgets changes to from Markdown to anything else in their README, like we're gonna have issues. Nah, I mean, we can try. It's not a big deal. It just seems like it'd be better to not have rely on this specific file existing. Rather one that we create, that we know will exist once this has completed. Because it seems like this obviously won't ever exist unless we do this, but this may not exist even if we do this. Just a thought, just a thought. If we could use globs, I'd be okay with that. Then just check for test-e libs include or something. You got it. Yeah, so not a file. I don't think they're ever going to delete the include directory, lol. That's for sure. Or rename it. So I like how you think. Build.bat. Can I do this? Oh boy. It should finish very quickly. It did. We're working on it, apparently. I mean, you can also just always run the git submodule command without a check. It's a no-op if the submodules have already been initialized. That's probably a good idea, then. Also, it seems like it ran cnote.exe, but I don't see it popping up, which is a bit spook. Oh, that's because it just completed. Yeah, we good. We good. So what you're saying is but then we can't do the echo. That's the problem. We need the echo. The echo is key. Okay, I think that's better. It's at least more cross-platform and simpler. And doesn't rely on a specific format of README. So that's also a plus. Yeah. Is there anything else in the README I'd like to change? You CMake, wait for it to do nothing, and pray that it hasn't crashed and it's actually just been downloading some module for 30 minutes because your internet connection is fast. Yeah. And perfect. Okay. I think that's pretty good. I can now remove all of this craziness. C-Note is a file organization tool to help sort files that aren't easily sorted in directory hierarchies. This C-Note uses a tagging system to associate tags with entries. An entry can be a file, directory, or any valid file path. So I'm going to add to-do, talk about .tag file, and to-do screenshots of basic use case. Okay. Siraide says, also, did you see the comment I made about Max right on the bottom, lol? Yes. We laughed about it earlier. It was so good. If, by some evil and unfortunate twist of fate, you are using a Mac, just, I don't know, follow step 1, I guess. It's basically just Unix anyway. So good. You could also run step 3 on Mac OS and it'd be fine. Really, they'd all work. They all work. Basically just say on Mac OS, do whatever you want. Yeah. Also, Siraide, I do want to mention before I have to go, because I do have to go very soon. Like now, in fact. I'm already late. We have this tag file, so we can now associate... I may have told you this already. If I did, please tell me. But we can now associate tags with arbitrary files, so even if they're directories and not a text file. So now when we run C-Note, that's why we get source and libs as well. So you can see if we have code, libs and source have it. Siraide says, I see, nice. Hey. Hey. But yeah, everything's split. The library split already happened, so all of the tagged entries data gathering happens in its own library, in its own file. So yeah, it's going well. We are actually like, it's functioning. We can reset the selected tags to nothing, as you can see. Also, the deselecting not working might be a GTK issue, by the way. All right, feel free to open an issue on GitHub and describing what it is. Haven't looked into it, but at least that's what I think it might be. You are probably correct. I'll have to try it in a VM with GTK installed. Very cool. But yeah, it works. It works. So this is our stream. We did it. That's kind of all I can do right now. I don't have time. I have to go. I should have gone 10 minutes ago, truthfully. But it works. And now we have a tag file. It's working and supported. Did I commit everything I committed? I modified the README. I wonder what I changed. Okay. Oh, that's staged already. I modified the README. And we are ready to go. Update README. Also simplify build scripts. Ooh, I'm gonna do it. Latin letter, what is it? It's the Greek letter, thorn? No? Latin letter thorn? It's gotta be something. There it is. Hey, we did it. We put a tongue in. Siraide typed both while I was talking in Twitch chat. What a legend. Okay, we can push these to main and then we are out of here, baby. King Bun says chaotic keyboard. Yes. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I appreciate you all so much. And be sure to check out the links down below. King Bun says, have a good day, Lance. You have a good day too, King Bun. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you were able to get some knowledge from this. And be sure to check out the VOD. As soon as it goes up, look at the beginning of the stream. It's hilarious. Something hilarious happened at the beginning of the stream, I promise. If you can't catch the VOD right now, check it out later on YouTube when the video goes up, because it's worth it. You'll laugh. You'll laugh. If you don't laugh, you're a robot, guaranteed. Siraide says, it's technically a Latin letter, yeah, but it's derived from the Futhark rune with the same name. Hey. King Bun says, sounds good. All right, all right. I promise you won't be disappointed. But yeah, be sure to check out down below the free and open source code that we have been writing in this new side project down below on GitHub. Star it, fork it, build it on your system, do whatever you want with it. I recommend it. On top of that, I would be greatly appreciative of any and all donations that do come in. There is a donate button down below in the description or in the Twitch About section, so it would be amazing. It would mean a lot to me if donations could come in, and if you leave a message, I will read it, and if you leave your name in that message, I will attribute it to you. Thank you all so much for watching. If you don't want to donate or can't donate, don't feel bad. All I care is that you watch and are here. I appreciate you all so much just for hanging out and being the awesome people that you already are. That being said, it seems like I now have to go. I am out of time completely. So it is time for me to say goodbye. I am sorry, but it is. Shout out to the most recent donator, RPWH, aka Rory, with the $10. Thank you so much for the stream, mister. Thank you, Rory. You're awesome. But yeah, check out the YouTube down below with the VODs, and check out the Twitch if you are on YouTube watching this in the future. I had a great old time. Thanks for hanging out with me while we implemented our .tag file and C-Note becomes even more powerful. I will see you when I see you in the next one. Bye-bye, all. Bye-bye. Ta-da, Siraides. Ta-da.